Dr. Robb Kelly, welcome to Locked In. Thank you to your assistant for reaching out to me to set this up and make this possible. I'm driving. I know you don't like to drive.
It's really hard to get me out driving these days. And it's hard to get me on a plane and all that stuff, just because I've done it all, seen it all. But I got to admit to you that I would drive nowhere to see nobody that's over 30 minutes. But when my assistant said, hey, it's Ian Bick, I'm like, I don't care what it is, we're going. So yeah, I really, I look up to you. You're just an amazing guy, man. Your story's phenomenal.
Do you watch the show?
I do.
How'd you come across it?
Courtney.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I come across you online somewhere and I'm like, wow, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Who is this guy with so much experience but looks like a kid? Who is this crazy guy? And then I started following you and yeah, everything's perfect, man. I love it.
Yeah, Frank was sitting here earlier who we were talking about and he had no idea I went to prison. So it was like mid-conversation and we just, we talked about it. He's like, you went to prison?
I know.
No one expects it. And I think that's the angle. That's what works for me. That's like the selling point to it.
It was for me when I first saw you. I'm like, that's prison? I don't know, like a prison guy to me. Yeah. Phenomenal.
So you live in San Antonio now, but you're not from this area?
No, well, originally from the UK, Manchester. Came over to Texas about 18 years ago. Dallas, Texas is where we reside. I met Janet 10 years ago. And then we came to San Antonio 4 years ago, kind of to retire and take it easy. So we bought our dream house. We have dream cars. We have dream everything, but the retirement hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, you were just saying you got 4 different businesses.
4 businesses now. It's crazy. I know.
I got to try your food. Are there any locations here?
No, just San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
So if you're in San Antonio anytime, come and look at the offices. We'll do my podcast maybe, and then we'll take you next door and feed you.
No, I didn't even realize you had one. I'd love to do yours. Yeah, I'll come out there and I'll drive to you next time and do it.
I love that. Yeah.
We'll have your assistant set it up.
Right.
So growing up in the UK, what was that like? Did you have your mom and dad your whole life?
Mom and dad, we come on the projects, which are called the council estates back home, which means that you have government income to pay, the rent. Dad was a gas fitter. He dug holes in the road to lay them big pipes. And my mom cleaned other people's houses for a living. So not a lot of money around. When the kids at my school went on vacation, well, they call it vacation trip. It was 2 miles down the road at a park that they all camped in, a huge park, but I couldn't afford to go. And it's like 10 cents or something, but we couldn't afford to go, So I'd be one of those guys, well, there's only 2 of us, waving off to the school bus of that left behind and abandoned stuff that I still slightly suffer from. Yeah, but born in a rough area, you either fight or you get beaten up, So I was into martial arts at an early age. Everybody knew who I was. I started music about 4 years old, was on stage at 9 with my auntie and uncle, took my first beer at 9. That's when it all started. And then during, my life, early age, I worked doors. If I wasn't on the door somewhere, then I'd be playing in a band. And that's what we did, Had a full-time job as well, so.
What was your first job? My
first job was the door. I think at like 14, 15, because I was a big guy, You can't see under this coat, but, we're there. So, yeah, 14. I remember the first day I went to the university, it was, where they had doormen on because there were bands playing. And I didn't know what to expect. There's these guys, you say, well, just dress, in like the black thingy. And but the only thing we had, because we couldn't buy anything, so we got this big velvet bow tie for my uncle. And I stuck it on. Well, my God, when I got there, these guys ripped me. Oh, my God, here's the bow tie. Where did you get a bow tie from? Oh, my God, is it going to fly away? And nobody else had bow ties on. So I always remember that. Yeah.
Now, did you have dreams or aspirations as a kid? Like what you wanted to do career-wise, long-term?
I wanted to be a pro musician, So my journey was, 14, 15, 16, always in bands, going out weekend, playing with guys my own age. We'd get into a van, we'd travel somewhere Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we earned good money. But it was a long time. We left the house at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and we didn't get back home till like 3 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes I had work on Monday morning. So one day, somebody said to me, they went, Rob, can you do me a favor? Can you cover my session for me? And I'm like, session? What do you mean? at Strawberry Studios. You just go in, they give you a piece of music, you play, they pay you. So I found out Strawberry Studios was owned by 10cc, and I used to like them. So I goes down not knowing what to expect. Now remember, we pack all our gear. So we got like £1,000 worth of gear into a $400 car to travel 4 hours to get paid $20 each. That's kind of what it was. So I goes into the studio. I sat there, he put the first, he said, you ready? Click, click, click in my ear, played this bass track. Next one, kick in one, played it in one. Third one, played it in one, put it. And I don't know the price, but he gave me like something like $200. And I'm like, have you kind of overpaid me? He said, no, that's how much you get per session. Well, that was the end of flipping playing bands for me. It was like, I want to do session work. But I have the addictive personality, which basically means I either do something or I don't. And people are amazed with the stuff I've done in the back. You can't have done all that. I think Janet was one of those. You can't have done all that. And then she's seeing what I actually do. But I got a job at Abbey Road.
Really?
So I seen it in the music magazine. So I don't know, man, 14, 15, 16. I don't know. I'm around that age. I'm a kid. And there's all these seasoned bass players going for this because, and I don't know why I got picked. But there were 7 auditions for that job. Wow. But when I got there, Ian, I stood outside Abbey Road, and there used to be like about 400 yards down the road, it used to be like an old off-licensed newsagent. So I'm like so scared. I'm like, I'm going to have a beer before I go in. So I go get this beer, drank it down. Okay, went in, did the thingy, went back home because they won't tell you there and there's no phones or anything. So a week later, I get a letter saying I've passed the first audition. Would you like to come down for a second audition? So I'm back on the train again with my guitar. It gets outside and the thought hit me, well, if I had 1 beer for the audition and passed it, surely if you have 2 for the second audition, and this went on until I had 7 beers outside. Don't really remember the session, but I got the job because I slept with that bass guitar. I was the best in the world at that bass guitar. I mean, I played with Elton John, David Bowie, Queen, all them guys I played with. And when Freddie Mercury calls the manager and he calls me and said, Freddie would like your services for the next 4 hours. I mean, come on. Does it get any better than that? The downside is I was introduced to cocaine there. Not from the people I just mentioned, but I got into cocaine, heavily drinking. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think I'm the only musician that got fired from the music industry for being wasted every day. Because I just couldn't, at the end, I couldn't do anything. It was sad and pitiful towards the
What
end.
did your parents think of this lifestyle?
Well,
because this is totally different than what they're used to.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing money home while I'm at school. I'm the richest kid in our school because I'm getting paid while I was, with my auntie and uncle. But mom loved it. She was so proud. My dad would never validate. Like I used to do bodybuilding competitions. I used to win these trophies up here. I'd come home like I blasted it, and I'd come home and, my mom was, wow. And my dad's just like, okay. Now that ruled my life for a long time of not being good enough. I just wanted my dad to say, hey, listen, good job. He never did. So the stuff that I was training, like karate trophies, boxing, not really good at school, it's more music, never said, great job. I'm proud of you. Never said that all his life. And I suffered from that, which we'll probably get into later. But the childhood trauma, man, that's the key. That's what we work on today. So we cover childhood trauma, alcoholism, depression, PTSD, and drug addiction, which is different from alcoholism.
Why do you think that was, that he never gave you that?
Probably because knowing what I know now, Ian, is because it's the way they brought up. His dad was left when he was young, so he didn't get that validation or approval. And back in the day, it's like, stiff upper lip kind of thing. It wasn't like I got molested by my priest, and I came home and told my mom, and I got whacked with a wooden shoe on my ass, sent back up, and it won't give me any dinner that night because it's, how dare you say that? You can't say it would never happen, but it did happen. So when I started getting help for myself, just the validation of somebody else saying to me, yeah, I agree with you. I believe you that it happened was mind-blowing for me.
Do you think if more parents had discussions with their children about their own, traumatic childhoods and upbringings, we could prevent a lot of trauma for the future generation.
Probably 70%. Everyone has trauma from the past, no matter what. If you're rich, poor, it doesn't make any difference. There's a part in your life where you still suffer from and have, subconscious thought patterns, but we don't know that. So we'll do certain traits or actions. Like we might go for a job but never get it. We might start something but never finish it. That's childhood trauma of not getting validated or approved or scared to succeed. So yeah, a lot of it is, we tell people today, communication. When should I start telling my kids that there's alcoholism in the family at the age 6 and 7? They're like, what? Got to get this out, man. We've got to stop it because there's a lot of damage being done out there.
Yeah, all of the guests that come on the show, it's all starts in the childhood. Yeah, every individial that's been, gotten into addiction or prison or both, it's because of the childhood.
It's rampant. Yeah. And it's the way the research and the neuroscience that we know today, the trauma is not what you think it is. That's the other big thing. It's not a car crash, not a divorce, not getting beat up at school. It's the little slight things like caregivers or teachers going, well, Johnny obviously is a waste of time, and casually said, or for me, with my mum and dad being taken to a friend's house of theirs Friday night so they could go out on the beer, I had to stay over at this friend's house and they would pick me up in the afternoon the next day. So they used to drop me off. And as soon as the car pulled out the driveway, we played what's called the run around naked game. Well, I thought that was a game. I didn't know that it was child. I didn't know. I was child molestation, It's crazy, but we didn't know. And I think if more people discussed it today, which has been my mission ever since I got here 18 years ago, is to bring this out, into the light. I've been shouting and screaming about this for years, man, and nobody took any notice. And then crazy things happened. The medical fraternity attacked me for not knowing what I'm doing, being dangerous. It's like, now I speak to the medical community, doctors and nurses and therapists, and the neuroscience behind, treatment for all the psych illnesses that we go through.
Attention locked in listeners, imagine this. You're inside a high stakes prison yard and every move counts. You've got to make the right call or you're out. That's what it's like playing Prize Picks, where your decisions matter and every pick could be the one that gets you the big win. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings, Prize Picks is the best way to get in on real money daily fantasy action. It's simple. Pick more or less on at least 2 player projections and get a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. With the Super Bowl almost here, Prize Picks is making it easier than ever to win real money. You could get a free pick where one of the starting quarterbacks only needs to throw 1 yard to win. Just pair it with one more correct pick and you can cash out big. Check out the promos tab to tail any of their Super Sweat Millie winners' big game lineups. If you follow a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you'll get a split of $1 million in promo funds. I've been locked in on Prize Picks lately, and let me tell you, it's easier to use than a prison commissary order sheet. I could set my lineup in under 60 seconds, and when I win, I get my cash fast, safe, and secure, sometimes in just 15 minutes. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use code IANBICK to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, just play $5 and you get $50 guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Now let's get back into today's episode. Do you ever think about what life would have been like if you didn't get kicked out of the music industry?
Yeah, I do. I look, like my guys were Oasis, they're all my guys, and the Smiths maybe, there was Happy Mondays, I maybe hang around with, and there was another band, I can't remember what Ian was, he's a singer. But yeah, so while I'm doing all of this, we still have a little 3-piece or 4-piece in Irish clubs and pubs because they paid more money. So we did our weekend stuff. And our drummer called Tony, like we did an afternoon and a nighttime gig, which was awesome because you set your stuff up about 10 o'clock. You play at 12, have a few beers, sleep on the floor or something. They opened up at 6 and you played at 7. So no humping gear around. And after the lunch gig, Tony starts packing his stuff away. I'm like, Tony, what's going on here? He said, oh, I'm sorry, Rob, I've got a gig with this band. And, I asked you to join us as bass player, but you said you didn't want to do it. Well, we're off to Scotland tonight and we're going to, we got a gig there. So I'm sorry. So I said to him, hey, listen, here's the deal. If you leave me without a drummer, you'll never play in this town again. Do you understand me, Tony? Sorry, Rob. And he's walking to the door with all his gear. And the last minute, and I don't know why, I turned around and said, Tony, what's the band called? He said, we're calling ourselves Oasis. And the rest is history.
You know, Oasis played at the club I would later own. They were one of the first bands in that.
No.
Yep, they played there in the 90s. I have the original, like the flyer for it that I have a picture of, and it was Oasis there at Tuxedo Junction. I know. And it's crazy. We're sitting here talking about Oasis and that you were a piece of that.
Wow. Yeah, we had some good times.
So how old are you when you're done with the music industry?
Probably 21-ish, 22-ish when I got fired.
Did you feel like a failure because that you had so much success?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always. I felt like a failure. And when I left college, which I should never have got through, there was a lot of people paid off because I was earning a lot of money in them days. It's what put me through college. I joined the police force and they fired me after a few months for being drunk.
You joined the police force?
Right. Because it's a weird story, but like before I went to college, because nobody goes to college in my family, let alone Oxford, I joined the Freemasons because a friend of mine's dad needed an organist desperately that they had to put me through a routine to get into the lodge. It's called the outer guard, then the inner guard. So I played organ for they were putting on this huge Freemason do. So during the time there, I met a guy who got me into college. It's mad. My life's been mad about having people in my life just at the right time to take me to the next level all the time. So become a policeman, kick me out for being drunk on the job every day. I didn't say anything wrong with that. But what I was pissed off about is the inspector who took my badge off me. He says, you're fired, because you're an alcoholic. So I wasn't upset about being fired. I was upset because some motherfucking called me an alcoholic. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I've seen alcoholics around the fire at night times, all singing 5-part harmony with the big coats on. That's not me. It was me. I just didn't know at the time.
Wow.
Right.
Imagine if you became a cop.
I know, right? I got to kill somebody along the way. Because my drinking was like, I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she wouldn't let me finish my bottle of vodka.
You stabbed her?
I stabbed her 3 times.
Like with a knife?
Oh, yeah.
She was almost dead?
Yeah.
This
I
is your
fled to
first
Spain.
marriage?
There was an attempted murder charge out on me.
Wow. So
And I went to Spain and she went to hospital and she come out. Only when the charges were dropped 3 months down the line, I came back.
Why'd they drop them?
So in the UK back in the day, if I got injured by you, even if I got stabbed or anything, I said, I don't want to press charges, you would leave free. Unless I died, then it's a murder charge. But anything else, I have to run that. I have to say to the police, I want to get into court, but she pulled out.
So what happened to her? Did you guys get divorced after that?
Yeah, I came home and she had all the gear packed. She had my 2 babies, ages 1 and 3, and she left. And I'm like, you can't fucking leave me. Do you know who I am? So the next day, or that day, I think, I got to my attorney. We did a lot of work with my company. And I said, I don't care what you do or how you do it, get my kids back. So he went to court next morning. He got some sort of, I don't know what, papers. The next thing I know, about 11, 12 o'clock, knocking on my door with my 2 girls, ages 1 and 3. I paid him a check. I brought him in. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I've been sober for 3 days now, knowing that hopefully they're going to come back. And it was just, I got home from Spain. I was sober. So I took him into the living room and I put him in front of the TV. And then I walked into the kitchen to do something. And the thought hit me, wouldn't it be great if you had 1 beer to celebrate the kids coming home? 2 days later, when the police kicked the door down, because I'd been unconscious and in a stupor for 2 days, babies had not been fed or changed diapers. The police stormed the house and served me with unfit father, was kicking me to wake me up. Bottles around the floor. My 2 little girls there, not being changed diapers to fed food. And the police officer picked the youngest one up and give to the police officer, who gave it to mother-in-law. And then the eldest, Charlie, mum come in and got her. So she's holding mummy's hands walking down the pathway. And she said 3 things to me. So when he left, she turned around and said, Daddy, Daddy, please don't go. And as we walked down the pathway, I'm there crying. One of the police officers were crying. It was just as sad. There was child protection services, child services there. There was her there. The police were there. It was just horrible. And halfway down the path, she says, Daddy, Daddy, please get better. And then we got to the end of the path. They opened this wrought iron gate, and she turned around one more time, and she said, Daddy, please stop drinking. I can't do it. And my heart was ripped out. I just wanted to die. Like my whole life, I just walked out. Never saw that girl for 30 years.
30? Wow.
So when they were taken off me, I walked back in. You know, I'm a mess by now, you know. And I took that bottle out again. And weeks ago, a month later, was my first day on the streets. House had gone, cars had gone, everything had gone. My wife went to parents, they threw me out after 2 days. Went to friends, they threw me out. Went to our sister, she threw me out. I kept, there's only so many times you can soil a couch before they ask you to leave, or piss on the couch to sleep before they ask you to leave, and that's what happened. So my first day homeless, I was sat on this bench in the middle of Manchester, freezing cold, raining. I had this coat on me, and I'm like, what the hell just went wrong? But you know what, Ian? I wasn't an alcoholic. I just thought I was going through some bad times. It'll pass, don't worry, it'll be okay. Your wife will have you back tomorrow. Just sleep here tonight, we'll get a few beers tomorrow. And she never did. She changed all the locks. Every time I went near my parents' house or my wife's house, they called the police. And I was in and out of police all the time during that time because I was on the streets. I hurt people to survive. You see, I'm from the streets. People say they are, but when you're homeless and you need to fight to stay alive, that's the proof in the pudding right there. In actual fact, after about 8 or 9 months, I got quite comfortable on the streets. I'm the kind of guy that if you meet me brand new, you'll never forget me. And the same when you're on the streets and you've got to be nasty, like in prison, I guess, you've got to be nasty, then I quite liked it, to be honest.
How much time would you have gotten in prison if she pressed charges?
20 years.
20 years. That's like the third time in your life where a whole different path could have been taken. You know,
yeah.
Music, police officer, and then that could have shaped your life too.
Yeah. Yeah, you could. And there's thousands more like that. The stories I have about near-death experiences, I used to tell my wife, Janet, I used to go, hey, I did this and I almost died there and I got this cancer thing and it went. And all of a sudden we went through it with Janet. They overdosed me on a pain med for, I don't know what it was, but they overdosed. I was dead.
Must have been an interesting first date.
Oh, well, so the first date, there's a place in Dallas called a 24-Hour Club. And we met. I don't know if it was on the first night or second. I think it might have been the first. So we're driving to this place and it's a homeless shelter. You know, where I ended up, by the way, sleeping on the floor with the other guys. But after my second marriage, I had nowhere to go. So I took her there and she heard the full story, man. And when I'm talking about this, I'm just waiting for her to get up and walk out because that's not a first date. You don't expect it. I'm stabbing my wife and I'm killing this and I'm battering this. And, you know, and she sat there looking at me. Little did I know. Little did I know that her brother took his own life. He was an alcoholic. So I think the connection there might have started something between us. But yeah, so our first date wasn't conventional. In fact, nothing I've done in this country has been conventional. It's all been against it. You can't do that, says who? You can't do it, says who?
But that's what makes you successful.
Yes.
It's the unconventionalism
yes,
that
it
does
is.
that.
Everything I do is not the norm. People, you know, when you've died a couple of times on the streets, then everything else, who gives a shit? Like a silent office deal in Dallas, and we do, God, how do you sleep at night? What are you going to do to me or anybody else that I haven't already done to myself? This is my second lifetime. I don't give a shit. I'm going to take chances. I don't care what you think about me. I don't give a shit. You know, after every big podcast I do, oh, is this, look at his bad eye. I don't give a shit what you think about me, guys. That's gone. I'm 63 years old. Think I give a shit about what you think about me?
You're 63?
Yeah.
You look good for 63.
Thanks. You hear that, guys? I look good for 63. What did I tell you?
I think because you got style.
Style, and I've lost 150 pounds.
Wait, you were big before?
I was 352 pounds.
I got to find the old pictures.
I got my phone. I'll show you.
So how old were you when you were on the streets?
I want to say around 22, 23, 24.
Would you say that's rock bottom?
Yeah. But when I was on the streets, I was surviving. And one Sunday night, Monday morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm rummaging around where there's factories and offices, no people inside, no houses. And it was pouring down with rain. I was still hungover. I was thinking about getting my next drink, and I dropped down to my hands and knees and I started to cry like a baby, from the stomach. And the crazy thing is I wasn't crying because I'd lost everything, my wife and my kids. The reason why I was crying right there and then is I realized I couldn't stop drinking. After 7 suicide attempts, and two actually died. I looked up to the sky, and I don't know why, because I'm a priest and I don't believe in God. I looked up to the sky that day, and I looked up and I said, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. 30 seconds later, and this weirdness has followed me since that day. A guy come around the corner, his name was Derek, a little Bible in his hand. He'd missed his last bus home from the Bible study. He'd been walking an hour. He took a shortcut he's never done before, and he came upon me. And he said, hey, buddy, do you need help? And I just started crying. I said, I'm dying. I don't know what to do. So he took me back to his house. Now, get ready to be mind blown, guys, if you've not heard my story before. He took me back to his house. He's like, Rob, you can stay here for as long as you want. Blow up mattress, you're great. Got fed and showered for the first time in a year. But you got to come to these AA meetings. Well, I hated them meetings. It's like all old men pissing and moaning, and, I'm 20 years sober and I'm pissed off and I've had a bad day. It's like, but it's a dry bed, so I went with him. So I'm sat there in this meeting thinking, there's a restroom. So if I can go in the restroom, sneak through the window, go and steal some vodka, get back in the window was this big. I was never going to get through that window, but I tried. I went back and I sat down all pissed off, and people going, my name's Bill, and all of a sudden this guy said, my name's John and I'm a recovered alcoholic. And he spoke from the book, and he spoke with confidence. And I'm like, holy shit. So when the meeting was over, I did one of them walks, which is probably 20 yards, which felt like the Sahara Desert, because now I'm asking for help off somebody, And it goes over, I said, hey, John, my name's Rob, will you sponsor me? And he said, no. And I'm like, what do you mean, no? And just before the whole ground swallowed me up, he said, I'll be your spiritual advisor for 12 weeks. Okay, that's weird. What do I need to do? Well, bring a dictionary and a big book. I don't need a dictionary. I went to Oxford. He looked me straight in the eye. I said, bring a dictionary and a big book. And he gave me the address. So for 12 weeks on a Wednesday night, I left Derek's at 6. I walked to John's, got in for 7. I couldn't go before 1 minute to 7. I could walk up, knock on the door. This is relevant to the story. And 1 minute to a through conversation, I said, okay, time to go. Like, halfway through a conversation. But what he taught me, what he took me through was mind-blowing. So on the last day with him, I hugged him, I thanked him, and he said, Rob, your life's going to change from tomorrow. You're going to go on and change the world. I'm like, I don't know too much, John, I'm in Derek's basement on a blow-up mattress. Nobody knows I'm there. Your life will change. So I goes home, I felt differently, I walked differently, I got my cockiness back, got my confidence back, and the next day I'm cleaning the house because that was my job now while Derek's at work. And at 12 o'clock, the door goes, I'm like, Derek? He's like, yeah. I said, what are you doing home? So the guy sweeping the floor at the factory has just resigned. Do you want a part-time job sweeping the floor? I'm like, hell, wow. Oh, so I got back in the car. Later that week, it turned into a full-time job. I was working with people that are getting well. I was positive, even though I was living in Derek's house. I was confident. People were getting well around me. Like, everybody started to look up to me. And 2 or 3 weeks later, we got our first pay packet, which back in the day was cash stapled to an envelope. So I went to the gas station, man. I'm all excited. I'm going to get John a teddy bear. It's all I could afford, a little teddy bear like this. And I get him a card. So I'm all excited. I'm like giddy. Wait till he finds out what I've been doing. So, hey, to John, thank you so much for introducing me to God. He took the compulsion away to drink. That's what I wrote. And I walked the same route as I did it for 12 weeks. When I got there, the curtains look a bit dirtier, but that's fine. It's been a week or two. Knocked on the door, no answer. Knocked on again, no answer. Next minute, the woman on the right-hand side apartment comes out and says, can I help you? I said, yeah, where's John moved to? Is he still there? John? I said, yeah, John, your neighbour. Oh, I've only been here for 3 months. I've not seen anybody there, but I'm new around here. So I let her close the door. That's a crazy person or drunk. So I went on to the left and I knocked on the door a little bit harder than I should maybe. Big guy came. What do you want? I said, where's John moved to? John who? Like, what's wrong with you? Your neighbour. He went on to tell me that apartment is derelict and there used to be tape on it. And if I did walk over that door, I would fall down to the basement below. It's derelict. It's dangerous. You cannot go in. And I'm like, what's wrong with these guys, you know? So I went back to the meeting where I'd met John, and I went in and the chairman went, Robert, thank God for that. Somebody, thank you. Do you recognize me? Of course I do, mate. Come in. I says, does John still come here? He said, John who? I said, over near the coffee machine. We sponsor me. Da, 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 da. Rob, we saw you over near the coffee machine speaking to yourself. We've never found that man. And when I started getting wealthier, I put the best private detective in Manchester on him, and they could never trace that man. And he's never been seen since. But what he taught me is what I do today. I heal people 100%. There's no, you know, in my industry, 3 to 5% with treatment centers is the success rate. I'm at 98. You know, I want to offer a money back guarantee, is what I used to. So my wife says, you know, there's always one that's going to
take advantage of that.
Take advantage of it, yeah. So, yeah, that's how all that come around. And, you know, it's been a crazy journey since then.
Hey, Locked In listeners, let me ask you something. What's tougher, doing time in a 6x8 prison cell or trying to get enough protein in your diet without choking down chalky shakes? I've been hitting the gym hard lately. Seriously, I might as well start charging rent with how much time I spend there. But after a workout, I need real nutrition to fuel my gains, and that's where Orgain's 30-gram complete protein shake comes in. No added sugar, all 9 essential amino acids, and best of all, they actually taste good. I used to dread drinking protein shakes. Most taste like they came straight from a prison kitchen. But Orgain changed the game. Their shakes are smooth, delicious, and don't leave that weird aftertaste. Plus, they keep me full, which is a crucial when I'm grinding all day. In fact, I love them so much that I use this insane 30% off promo to stock our entire studio. That's right, every time someone comes through for an interview, they see our fridge loaded with Orgain shakes. It's the only thing keeping my guests from raiding my snacks, and you all know we have a ton of snacks here at the Locked In studio if you've been a former guest on the show. And here's the best part, it's so easy. No mixing powders, no messy prep, just grab, shake, and go. Whether you're on the way to the gym, rushing to work, or just trying to make better choices, Orgain has you covered. They even have a great dairy-free option for anyone that's practicing vegan options. So do yourself a favor, head to Orgain.com/IanBick and use code IanBick for 30% off your order. That's 30% off, but only when you use my code IanBick. One last time, go to Orgain.com/IanBick and use code IanBick for 30% off. I hope you enjoy Orgain just as much as I do. Now let's get back into today's episode. So what was the significance of the timing? I know the 3 months was significant, but
Yeah, I don't know, because I've never seen him before, but maybe, I think it's some kind of angel that visited me. Sorry, guys, if you think, oh, God, he's a weirdo. I spent years, I won't tell his story for 15 years. It's the only explanation that everything he told me came true. He told me I'd be taken far away from this land to heal others. And he said to me, I'm not a Bible guy, but he kept saying to me, Isaiah 61. I don't know what that is. What is it? To heal the sick and bring good news to the families. I said, well, okay, thank you. Doesn't mean anything to me. But years later, when I got the opportunity to come over here to speak for 2 weeks and stayed, the girl I was living with at the time, she went for an interview at this architect. And I drove her there, and she's in the interview for about 2 minutes, and she comes out, and I'm like, oh shit, that didn't go well. And she comes to the car and said, he wants to see you. I said, what? He wants to see you? What? You can't see me. I'm in shorts and I've got fucking eggs down there. I can't go in. He wants to see you. I'm like, what the hell, this weird guy? So I went and we sat down. And we've been waiting for you. I said, well, I was just in the car. No. We've been waiting for you. We've been waiting the prophet that comes over here and changes the world. And I'm thinking, you can't work here soon. This is a weirdo we're talking to. So anyway, will you come around to the meeting? Will you come and speak? They could join our group. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then said, turn around to Sue and said, Sue, you have the job, start Monday. So I was walking out the door, last minute, I turned around and I said, oh, by the way, Hardy, what's the group called? And he said, we're called Isaiah 61. And that has followed me all through. Then coincidence that I thought they were happened all the time.
So do you still not believe in religion or any of that?
Oh, I believe in God. Yeah, definitely. I don't go to church. I don't read the Bible. I'm a true believer on my spiritual journey that God doesn't want me on a Sunday at 9 o'clock in a building there to hear me. With all my experience, man, God's right here, right now. He saved me. He took, 3% survive off the streets in Manchester. The other guys die. 95. So I was chosen for some reason. So yeah, definitely on this spiritual journey, and everything I ask for, I get, because what people don't really know about me is we give a lot of money back. We do a lot of things free of charge. We do loads of pro bonos. Every therapist, a coach has to carry a pro bono in my company. Otherwise you're not working for us. We're all giving back all the time. And I think the more I gave back, the more he gave me, and then I met this girl online called Janet, and we clicked instantly. And then we're in conversation about a year later. And she said, do you know what? I wrote a letter to my pastor, told me to write a letter about the perfect man I want. And she got it out, and it was me. Had to be highly educated, had to be a musician, had to be British. And it's crazy.
And that's her?
That's her, yeah.
What was the site you met on?
It was called Our Time.
I got to sign up 50. For that. Yeah. Over 50?
Yeah.
I'm going to pause on that.
But I'm a businessman, you see. So when I'm meeting these people, I got all the girls lined up at Starbucks. I've got like a 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, a 12 o'clock, and a 1 o'clock. So I met the first girl. We sat for 20 minutes, come out, hugged, bye. I went back and sat in the car, watched the second one come, which was Janet. Got out of the car, pretended I'd just arrived, sit down. And after about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I excused myself. I went to the bathroom and I called the other two girls and said, I just met the girl I want to marry. And they both said, oh my God, Rob, congratulations. I'm only the best. And I went back to the table and said, I'm going to marry you. And she said, you're crazy. And 4 or 5, 6 months after, we were married.
You got style, man. You got spunk.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I really relate to you on the whole spiritual aspect of it, because I feel like I've been through so much that all of that fell into place perfectly for what I do now, and everything worked out. Even in the moments where I'm sure you felt that when you were on the streets that it wasn't working out and you lost everything, because I had those ups and down successes, super successful in high school, lost everything, prison, rock bottom after that, career after that, walking away to do this. And you know how it is as an entrepreneur, there's ups and downs. You have those days, you know, we all go through that, but it always works out some way, somehow.
It does.
And I feel like that when you believe in that spiritual journey, it makes sense.
And then when you get into neuroscience and you combine spirituality with neuroscience, you realize that what you believe of the mind is very powerful. So if you can train the mind to have a great day and stay connected with another energy, then that would be the key. Can we do that? Of course we can do that. So when the mind is energy, okay, can't see it, touch it, feel it, it sits inside the brain, hence the saying mind over matter, the brain's matter. So if we can program the mind every single day, and what we found is when this energy connects with another energy and you have a change of neural pathways, your DNA changes. Why is that important? I ain't the same guy that I used to be. I'm a different guy. But the thing I like about me is it's like learning to ride a bike. I mean, you don't do it every day, but you're still there if you need it. So that guy in the streets is still here. And it's popped out a couple of times, when people have taken me to the next level or somebody cut me up. I used to be, with Janet, I'd get out of the car. You can't get out of the car in Texas. People have guns. So I had to get back in the car and go, okay. But yeah, their traits and them personalities are still there.
So do you think that type of mindset can be programmed, or do you think people are just born with it? Like the mindset me and you probably both share. Do you think that could be taught to someone?
That's what we do. When I came into the industry, 95% was drug and alcoholics. Now 5% are drug addicts and alcoholics, and 95% is training entrepreneurs, getting people out of the darkness, starting businesses with people, motivating people, explaining about the neuroscience and the brain and what you can do. Because many years ago, I'd say, you can do anything you want to do, guys, to my patients. They go, well, I can't be president of the United States, so that's bullshit. Let's forget the political views for a second. We had a business and running the country with no political experience whatsoever. Don't fucking dare tell me you can't achieve your dream, because it's just not true. Somebody's put that there.
So after this moment happens, what do you do next? Do you just hit the ground running and you build, a recovery business?
I did, back home, and I come over here for 2 weeks. And the moment I landed, I thought, I'm not going back home. This is the land of opportunity, sun shining. And we just started from there. I just got one patient and then another patient and stuff like that. But yeah, everything I do, we think about it for a bit and then I go, yeah, I can do that. So I've never played basketball. So if you came to me today, Ian, and said, before we do the podcast, let's play basketball, I say no. Why not? I've never played. Yeah, but I'll never be any good at it, so I'm not doing it. So I'm an all-in and all-out kind of guy.
So how did you come over here and just start that business? Don't you have to have degrees or anything like that? You do have the title doctor.
Yeah, I got a PhD in psychology and a PhD in behavioral science.
That must have taken years, right?
It did. That's when I was at college, yeah. But after that is when I became homeless, about 26, 27. I think, no, maybe 24. The mind is not very good back then.
So you got those degrees?
I'd gone through, one of those. I got the PhD in behavioral science about 9 years ago.
Okay.
Online. It was an online course.
And the degrees you got back home, they transferred over to here,
yes,
no problem?
my license was transferred over, everything.
Wow. And why did you even want to do that for college? Because you were so into the music. Why that?
I was into the music, but because I got into college, the Freemason that got me into college in Manchester was a friend of a guy that ran first of all, I went to Green's College to become a doctor. They threw me out for being drunk every day. You can see a pattern here, can't you guys? So I had to be put into Trinity College, which for psych at the time, I think, and something else they were teaching. So yeah, I came over here, and at first I couldn't work, of course. So then I played in bands over here. I bought myself a bass guitar and I started gigging with people for cash and stuff. IRS, if you're listening, I'm just joking.
There were tips under a certain amount.
Tips, yeah. And then I, when the license was transferred, I opened my little practice, and that's where we started, you know.
Why Texas?
Because that's when they offered me. I was speaking to this girl online in the early days when they only had chat rooms.
Like I am Instant Messenger?
Yeah, that's what he was, you know. So I'm speaking to this girl in this chat room for, I don't know, abused people, alcoholics. And then I was talking to this girl called Sue, and then about 3 or 4 weeks, she went, hey, my pastor wants you to come over and speak to the youth in Plano, outside Dallas, because they had a big, huge crack cocaine problem with the youth. He said, we'll pay for your tickets, want you to come over. So that's what I did. I came over 2 weeks just to do this like workshop with them. Never went back.
How hard was it to build a business as someone coming from another country?
It was a lot easier than you think because of the accent. I know it sounds crazy.
It makes you more likable?
It does.
Okay.
I mean, you can say the worst thing in a British accent and everyone thinks it's cool. Like, you fucking, just say that again. It's so cool. Because that's what people said when I first came over, because my accent was obviously broader. It's just speak. Just say something. What do I say? Oh my God, did you hear that? It's like, we've never seen an Englishman before. What's wrong with you guys?
Wow.
So yeah, that got me into places. And then again, the tenacity of everything I've been through is a reason of coming here, helping people and making something of yourself.
Well, that's why Gordon Ramsay gets away with swearing on TV,
of course.
too. It works for him.
It does. Now, they call me the Gordon Ramsay of the addiction world. If you Google that online, my name will come up, guys. Because I will. Can you curse on here?
Yeah.
So if someone's not right, I said to one guy, get the fuck out of my office. So he reports me to the psychology board. There's all sorts of shit going over here. You know, it's like, I don't suffer fools, man. And I think that reputation people liked. It's like the richer people would come and go, hey, you want to see our son? There's a checkbook. Yeah. No, you've got to have an assessment. You've got to earn it. Well, we just give you, no. And a few people were like, he's crazy, man, you know. But the more I started to stand and say, no, we're not just taking everyone for money. This is not about the money. This is about getting people well. This is why my success rate is hundreds of times better than anybody else's, because you can walk in any treatment center right now, a doctor, therapist, you can give them a check and they'll let you in. I mean, you're going to the doctor, you know, if you're depressed, you go to the doctor. If he's prescribing, I hate medication, and I mean, we have to take it, but the pharmaceutical companies, don't get me started on that. So you go in, and if he's not asking you about your health, your diet, your exercise, if it's not, all you got is a high-priced drug dealer. That's all you got. And I started to fight against that. It's like, we're not doing this, guys, over here. And what's the worst can happen to me? And that's the attitude I have with everything. What's the worst can happen? What are you going to do? Take Christmas off me? What's going to happen, guys? Why wouldn't you try and do it? And when you have the experience and the tenacity and the confidence that I have, it's half the battle with people that go, wow, I believe what he says. Because if you haven't been through it, you can't talk to somebody about it. You can't get them well. you know? I went to a therapist with Janet, or it might be before Janet, and I said, hey, you know, I'm an alcoholic, blah. Are you an alcoholic? And she said, no. You know, but I have all these, you know, degrees on the wall. I said, you can't help me. She said, what do you mean, can't help you? I've had all these degrees on the wall. I said, okay, here's a scenario. You have a bottle of vodka behind your back and you don't want me to have it. I stab you in the face repeatedly and then take the bottle. She's like, whoa, do I need to call the police? I said, I've told you, you can't help me. Then I think somewhere along the line, we found somebody that could. Then when I met Janet, we found this hippie. She's like 70 years old. She was crazy, but that's the only people I relate to. I don't care how many degrees you've got. 90% of my stuff now is from John on the streets. It's not about education. You don't need a degree. The ROI on a degree years ago was worth it. It's not anymore. It's not worth the paper it's written on.
Were you surprised by America's recovery world when you first got here, and also what it is now? Because there are a lot of shady places. I get hit up all the time about people, you know, trying to get me to be, you know, what they call those body brokers, and this because of my platform and all of these things. There's just, it's overwhelming. It's overflooded. I've had so many guests on the show that are opening sober houses and this and that. And it's so hard to tell what's legit, what's not legit.
It really is. Because if you're looking at a business model, then you need repeated customers, repeated clients. You need them to stay alive. So when they lose a client, it's loss of income for them. I kind of get this, the model, and there are loads of people out there that are not real alcoholics and not real addicts. Take them other people in, great. You're doing a great job. They might relapse, take them back in again, great. But when you're dealing, and there's reason why it's called a disease, it's down to the hypothalamus, which we'll get into. But if you're not healing the person you're working with and you're just taking the money, you won't last long. Something will happen to you spiritually, something is going to happen to you, because they're taking advantage of these people that are dying on a daily basis. And that's one of the reasons I'm still doing what I do today, is we're sick to death of watching people die in and out of the rooms, in and out of hospital, whatever. Lack of knowledge. We're all powerless over alcohol. Nowhere in print does it say that, and no way do I believe it. I don't call myself an alcoholic. I don't call myself nothing pertaining to that, because my mind will believe that. So I hang around 90 people, you become the 10th. If they're depressed, you'll become the 10th. Depressed people. So the more I find out about, because when I first came over, I'm trying to get in with all the treatment centers, then we took a stance. You know something? We don't want to work with these shady fucks. We're going to pull away, we're going to independent. And everyone hated us for doing it. And the medical fraternity tried to take my license off me. Said I was doing damage out there rather than a real deal. But we kept on and people started to get well. And then I think it was Gordon Ramsay that called somebody that I got my first client, which was Eddie Van Halen. That was my first big client. And then it took off from there. It's like everybody started to learn about my name. I did a Wikipedia on the way here. I showed Janet, just put my name in. Never done it before, just put my name in, boom. And it come up, and on one of the paragraphs he said that Dr. Robb Kelly, a clinical psychologist, I'm not a clinical psychologist, should be knighted. I'm like, I took a photograph of it. I'm like, it must be fucking true if it says on AI chat, you know. But I was mind blown, and I'm still mind blown when I see. I've never watched any podcast I've been on. I've never seen any TV programs I've been on. I've never read my book. It's just something I don't do, you know. I didn't write the book. Janet wrote the book. So over a 2-year period, I'd write little pieces, or I'd say something, we'd record it, I'd give it to her. So Janet put the book and wrote the book, but I've never read it, because even after all this time, it's too painful for me. I've done my work on it. I think I've not done enough work on it, because I still have times where I get pissed off. I'm always shouting at Janet, you know, somebody will say something, and, you know, so I'm still working on myself, but I don't want to believe the hype, because when I start, if you look at me, my idea of getting to somebody where they need to be is like you right now. You realizing how good you are. You realizing how fantastic you look, how much power you have, realizing that you can fucking storm the world now. Not 20 years' time when you look back. But you know something? I was pretty powerful back there, but I didn't know it. And where I got this from was going through some photographs, me and a friend years ago in my mum and dad's house. And he found an old black and white photograph of me and him. And we're both like this, and with huge, tiny waists. We'd just come out of a competition. We were, oh my God, he said, Rob, look at this. And I went over, it's like, look at our arms. Look how beautiful we were. Look how attractive. My God, Rose, those were the days, man. And I don't know why, but I said, we didn't know it then, did we? And he went, no, we didn't. So I said, what if today's one of those days? And that changed my life.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to go, I'm 63 now. I don't want to get to 85 and go, God, I was powerful. Oh my God, people did like me. Oh my God, I did make it. I don't want to do that. I want to do that now. And you really have to be strong to do that because you have these haters trying to take you down all the time. And I don't listen to them anymore. I don't listen to the noise around me anymore. If you're jealous of me again, I don't give a shit. In fact, guys, if you've got haters at home, send them over here.
You need
it's fine.
haters. You absolutely need haters.
Well, listen, somebody said the other day to me, Rob, I said, I've got these haters, like two of them now.
Trolls, we call them. Yeah.
There's like two of them out of millions of people that I've affected, which is pretty good. It's like, Rob, if you haven't got trolls, if you haven't got haters, you're not doing your job right, man.
Yeah, you need them.
And I'm like, fuck.
So many people like in the social media world, you look at the comments and a lot are negative. Like when I first started, that was tough. Now you're bulletproof from it, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's just irrelevant.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter.
And it's kind of my wife that got me there, Janet, because even a couple of years ago, maybe now and again today, but somebody would say something or comment online. I don't read comments anymore. He's a piece of shit. He's not English, didn't go to college. He's not, he's not whatever. He didn't do this. He's just all a scam. All that shit you hear. And then I was reading that. And then Janet just told me one day, it's fucking, they can say what they want to say. So my reply for people going through this is there's two kinds of people in this world from my 63 years on this earth. There's the people that love you for who you are, and there's the fucking people that want to be you. But they're never going to tell you that, so let's hate and write some bad. Look, it's not about the money, guys. I'm wealthy, yeah? I've got everything. So you can sit at home and make your comments from your mum's bedroom on her computer, or look at me like in my freaking $1 million lifestyle. It's like, who you going to take notice of? And that keeps being, I mean, when you take everything I've done with the millions and millions and millions of dollars that I've earned, you look at my success, you look at the people I've worked with, you look at the impact I have with 9,000 patients now under my belt over all them years, and you have to start believing that what you're doing is true. And what you believe in makes a difference. And how powerful I am today. I'm 63 years old, Ian. Have you seen anybody else that dresses like this at 63? And I've toned down for you, by the way.
You could spot you a mile away.
Right? I've toned down for you, but
it looks good.
I just don't care what people think. It's like, I want to be the guy. Like when I roll up and I got the top down and I'm listening to music, there's probably Dre playing or something like that.
True.
Okay? And I'm listening to the old school. And this other guy, probably the same age as me, looks twice his age, pulls up and he looks at me with disdain. From this Mercedes, he looks over and he's a disdain. It's like, I don't give a shit, man. You want to go to what everyone else does? Fine. You want to follow the sheep? Fine. But I ain't getting to 80 years old and going, God, I wish I'd have known how. I wish you'd have done this. I'm just going to fucking do it. I don't give a shit. I don't care what people think. And what are you going to do? You can't stop me. I'm too powerful. I'm too big. I'm too nasty. I'm too educated. I'm too everything. It's like my God took me through all this stuff to be where I am now. Because they still go, what do you know, Rob, about homelessness? I've just seen your house. I sit down and talk to you. What do you know about, losing your kids? What do you know about all that stuff? I'm being battered on the streets, knocking off the teeth. Because when I first got on the streets, I was kind of healthy. So I would win every fight. I used to bare knuckle fight on the streets for money. I'm like a chameleon, man. That's what I had to do. But I'm not that person today. But I can snap that way. I'm very good at molding. Like I can go on the factory floor and speak to them guys and they love me, and I can go in the boardroom and speak to them on a different level and they love me. And I think that's called streetwise.
How do you feel about, like you're helping people, you're doing good things, but also comes with that is success and money, but you're also doing something good. So how do you balance that? Because from the outside world, some people could say you're getting rich off other people's downfalls. It's a gray area. You can do so much good, but there's also a little bit of evil in some people's minds that comes with that.
Yeah, so it's that balance of the pro bonos that we do, the giving back that I do, the hours we spend doing, talks and time. And Janet's the same. We get a patient, she'll work pro bono in the background trying to get his business going and all his stuff. So I think after all this time, we have a nice balance. But we do give throughout the year, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars back. And I think I try and bless somebody every day when I leave the house, monetary, because I can bless you with complimenting you and stuff like that, but can I help you out? Like I always stop at the signal lights when there's a guy there. And if I have the money, I'll give it to him. I remember doing it once and a friend was with me and I gave this guy $20. And my friend said, you know what he's going to do with that, don't you? And I said, well, I fucking hope he's going to go and get some drugs and some alcohol, because that's what I did when I was on the streets. And you were on the streets? It's like, so I balance it out, you know. I believe that everyone that's been through what me and you have been through, and millions of other people, you don't have an ego. You have confidence from going through all the shit and surviving with God, walking forward. This is 30 years walking with God where I am today. It's not doing my ego. And if I stop doing the stuff I'm supposed to do, he's going to take all this shit off me, man. I know it is. It's like, so I think he plays a game. I think he puts people in my path, you know, people that can't afford, or people that are less than, that people have gone, yeah, he's an idiot, don't worry. God puts me that in my path. And if I turn him down because he can't afford to come on board, he's going to take shit off me, you know? So I have to be vigilant about people put in front of me. And I have to have balance in my life. And I also have to take care of me. So if I'm not taking care of me, I can't take care of you. So the fact that we have such a high success rate kind of speaks for itself. And then when people get to know us and know what we do and help, you go, wow, that Robb's a really good guy, man. Well, you see me on a podcast when I'm all aggressive and shit because I'm trying to get the public's attention. It's a different story. You know, he's mean, he's angry, just like Gordon Ramsay. In real life, he's nothing like that, you know, but it's the same with me. I mean, we've taken people into our house, not knowing them that well, you know, just to help people, because that's what we do. We just want to give back and help. So as long as I've got that balance, I don't think it's about the money or the fame. You know, I think it's about if you can help another human being out today, I've done my job, man. I don't care what you say, but I've done my job.
Yeah, you know, that's really powerful about you got to take care of you before you can take care of other people too.
I had a breakdown 8 years ago in Dallas, and my wife had to take me to a PTSD place for trauma work. It's in Arizona, the Meadows in Arizona. So they took me away. I've only said this twice before in my life, but we're being honest on here. So they took me away because I had a breakdown. And the reason I had a breakdown is I'm trying to help everybody, and I couldn't do it. And what I realized from that trauma work is every time I work with somebody, they take a piece of me away. And if I don't repair that piece in between, I'm going to have another breakdown. So the yogas and the gym and the training and the weight loss and the sun time and the grounding and the playing with my dogs and enjoying stuff with my wife, all that keeps me happy and balanced. And if I don't have that balance, you know, I'm aware this could all be gone tomorrow. But you know the crazy thing is, if you took everything I own, how many people can chat AI themselves and find out all this crazy stuff? I tried it with Janet. She wasn't on there. I tried it with a friend of mine. She's not on there. Tried it with you. You were on there. It's like people are making a difference on there. But if all that was taken away tomorrow and I had a tent, put my Janet in there, me in there, the dog's in there and the cat in there, and I'll be as happy then as I am today. Because everything's gone. I don't care. The crazy mind fuck is to try and keep this going. So we have to earn money to keep all the expenses going that we have, you know, staff and offices and stuff like that. But it doesn't drive me. You know, we like to earn money, don't get me wrong, but it's not my driving factor today. If I do what I do and take care of myself, God will sort out the rest.
Yeah, I think I'm driven by just like my purpose of what I'm doing. Yes. It's not necessarily about the money. I'm happy with just enough to pay the bills. Yeah. I don't need anything in excess of that. I just want to, you know, pay the bills, pay past restitution, keep moving forward. But I definitely struggle with the balance aspect. Yeah. And because it's hard because you have all these people that need different things and the guests and doing everything that sometimes I have to work on that because it is mentally draining. And every interview you do, you hear some crazy traumatic things on these episodes. And every time there is something that's left with you and you feel for these people every single time. Yeah. How can you not, you know?
Exactly. How can you not? But like I say, it's accepting it, taking downtime for you, you know, and healing from that every day, whether that be a quick meditation. My wife's just got me into yoga and I freaking love it. I'm yoga? Like Saturday morning, no, normal yoga. I'm like, Saturday morning, let's go, 7:00 in the morning. I'm sure she thinks sometimes, oh my God, I wish I'd never introduced him to it. But it's another spiritual thing that I do to keep that balance. You know, and that's important for me. It really is. And living life to the full is really important for me. I just don't want to get to, like I keep saying, a place and go, oh my God, I wish I'd have done this. Or, oh my God, look how powerful I was. I didn't know it. You know, there's not many people look like me at 63. There's definitely not people that act like me. There's nobody that can fight like me at 63. There's nobody that can charm like me at 63. And I'm proud of that. Now, 2 years ago, I'm 350 something pounds. That's why I pulled off TV. I disgusted, hate myself. You know, all my teeth were messed up when I first came. I met Janet with all these broken yellow teeth, you know, bigger, and she's lovely for who I am. And then I get like this, and it's just like, you know, it's part of the progress as we move on. You have to have pride in yourself, pride in your family. You know, my job right now is to provide for my wife, help other people, stay close to God. That's it. The rest. So when I got my big check with like $100,000 for one patient we took on, it's a mind fuck. Because at the beginning, oh yeah, thank you very much, you know. But inside you're going, oh my God, like I would never earn this in like 10 years, usually. And then the panic is, am I good enough for this? This is a lot of money, oh my God. And all that mind mess you go through. But eventually you find that balance. It's like, you have to know your worth. People don't know their worth. People operate around 45 to 50% of the capability and capacity. That's through my experience of 9,000 patients. Nobody knows. We take them to that 100% level. And I think everybody should have a chance to do that. If you think you can't do something, then you can't. If you think you can, then you can. You know, once you start getting that mind. So we have a routine in the morning to squash the subconscious mind who wakes us up in the morning and start the day out amazing. Because we found a lot of things when we studied. Well, we studied a lot of stuff. Studied, oh God, it was years ago now, where in the ranch, it was like a doctor's office. So when people came in, they sat down, we took them in. But what happened is we paid 9 actors, and this is the stuff I like. So we paid 9 actors like $20 or something. Come in, sit down, and when they call you in, go out the back door and go home. Give you $20, $30, tea, cookies, all sorts. But there's only one thing you had to do is when they come in, when the buzzer went, they had to stand up. So the one patient came in that knew nothing about this, and she sat down. She's just a normal patient visiting, saying hi to everybody. But in the little waiting room we created, all these 9 people stood up and then sat down again. And the first time, I think the woman's on the phone or something, they stood up again. Now she's looking around going, what's going on here? On the third, she stood up with the rest of them, which is interesting, right? Because learned behavior and stuff was trying to prove. But one by one, they get taken into the office and they go home. There's only her left in the waiting room. She stands up. That fascinates me. It's like people around us, we take on their traits and their behavior, not ours. We take on theirs to grow, just like mom and dad teach us how to do certain stuff. So when mom says, don't put your hand on the stove as a toddler, it'll burn you, and we do it and it burns us, well, mom's always right. Well, people who tell us stuff's always right. But the people around us is who we become. So if you're hanging around people that doesn't validate you and approval on a daily basis, it's got nothing to do with ego, because we need this stuff, then you'll become like that person. So if you're on 50 grand a year and you want to earn 100, hang around the people that earn 100. I mean, it's not, everyone thinks it's hard to earn money. It's not hard to earn money. What's hard is keeping the sanity when you start earning that money. Because now you're like, well, look at me. I'm changing my car every 6 months. Years back, you know, when I'm with Janet, I'm losing 10 grand a pop every time I go in to change the car. That's insane. But it's still part of my journey of learning my worth. And people call me all the time. They go, hey, how much should I charge? What is your worth? I can tell you my worth if you want me to. And they go on, tell me. And I tell them, they go, oh my God, that's ridiculous. That's my worth today. And I confidently can say that. I love what I do because I do what I love. And I tell people that come, if you go to work and you have a boss you're fighting with, get another job. If you're going home to a wife you're walking on eggshells, get another wife. You go, well, it's not that easy. It really fucking is that easy. Stop making things complicated. We want to put the brakes on our imagination. I only want to go as far as the guy next to me, who's my friend, tells me I can go. It's like I'm in Dallas for 14 years and I'm saying to my guys, I'm thinking of writing a book. They'll go, you're crazy. You can't write a book. You're not an author. Never wrote a book. Come down to here, hanging around new people, and Janet's on the case, and I was thinking of writing a book. Oh my God, you've got to write a book. So we wrote a book. It's like the people around you is the people you will become if you're not careful. Like I can go back to the streets and help people. I just can't fucking live there anymore. I can't live there. I have to be careful of that. Because there is a time, guys, entrepreneurs, back me up on this. There is a time when your friends back home or your friends around you, the projects, the street guys and everything, you start to rise. Now you're earning money. So these guys don't want to know you anymore. And the guys that already earn money, they don't want to know you. You're from the streets. So you spend this lonely time in this middle area floating where you have no friends. And it's a lonely place until people start realizing you're making an impact. And then both of them, rich guys and poor guys, come to a level. He's like, Rob's a decent guy. Yeah, he's doing the right thing. But that point can really mess you up, you know?
You got to have those lonely moments.
You have. And I still have days like that. And Janet goes, just stay in bed. Cancel all the patients, stay in bed and get over it. And that's what we do, you know? It's like, no, everyone's human and everyone has the breaking points. And when you do what we do is like, you know, talking to people, educating people, inspiring people, you know, it can be draining. And you can't, like when you get your first check off Sirius or something for like $10 million, you're going to freak out. Just like I did.
I'll be happy with $1 million, man.
I'm telling you now. And
I'll be good with $1 million.
I will bet my watch on it. Okay, that if you haven't signed a $10 million deal within a year, I think I'm going to send you my watch because you can't see the impact. We can see I'm not getting in a fucking car from San Antonio and driving an hour and a half to be with a fucking podcast unless it's Rogan. I ain't going to do that. But we did because we saw you, man. I've seen everything. Don't get me wrong. I've seen them all. Good to you. Carry on. I'm not driving. But she got on the phone and go, hey, listen, do you know Ian Bick? I'm like, Ian Bick? Fucking right I do. I follow him. He wants to see you in Austin. Get the car, Janet. We come down.
Oh, so you made her drive. You didn't drive. I don't feel bad.
The idea is...
I don't feel bad now. You're making me feel bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, I think more and more lately, I feel like I have something because like when people come in the studio, they look at me as like a celebrity, like normal people.
Yes.
And to me, like I'm just a normal person having these conversations with them. Hello. And what's up, Kevin? And I'm very, you know, lucky to have that opportunity and that experience with them. So, and it's like an honor to have that with them. And that's how I know my purpose because these are people that have never been given a platform or never been given a chance. And they look up to me for that. Yeah. So I know there's something special. And then I see like the comments of, how did you get like a shot caller for a prison gang to sit there comfortably and talk to you? Yeah. So there's something there. It's just that comfortability.
That's it. But we never see our worth. We never see how powerful we are, or anything like that. But I'm telling you what you do and the guests have seen, and you're only going one way, and that $10 million check is around the corner. So when you get it, what are you going to do with it? That's the only question I ask people. like because I'm spiritual, when I get to heaven, do you know what God's not going to ask me? How much was that house? Yeah. How much was that car you drive? That Rolex, solid gold Rolex watch, that must have... You're not going to ask me that. How many fucking people did you work with, Rob? How many people did you heal? So when you do start getting this big, big money, it's coming your way anyway because you're doing the right thing. That's when God tests us. It's okay, I'm going to give you all this money. What are you going to do with it? You're still going to work with that pro bono. I'm going to send you away that can't afford anything. Or are you going to take that $10 million and run with it and go, look at me, look at me? Well, we have a balance. I have toys. We live amazingly, but one of my feet is always in the trenches and it will continue to be there. People still freak out now when I answer the phone. You know, I'm just seeing if I can, Dr. Rock said, it's me. Oh my God. You know, you walk down the street. And so we went in the big center in Dallas to watch The Cure. And I was on TV quite a lot back then. And me and Janet were opening in this VIP area. And she sits down and she goes, you know what's nice? Like nobody recognizes us in here. No, we can just sit here and watch the group. I swear to God, my wife's here. Dr. Rob! Like, these guys were waving at me. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm kind of famous, you know? But balance again. Because everyone recognizes me. Well, a lot of people do. If you're in the industry of suffering, you know who I am. If you're a normal person, you possibly know who I am because everyone suffers. And because of the restaurant and this and that is kind of, I'm not a big a celebrity as Rogan, but I'm up there, you know, and my only aim is the same as beginning. If we can help one person today, done our job.
What piece of advice would you give to a parent that's listening, or a wife, a spouse, a husband, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a sibling that has someone that they love that's struggling with addiction? What would you tell them?
Well, the first thing we need to do is dialogue. Nobody wants to start the dialogue or the awkward conversation with children. If your kid you think is on drugs, when he goes to school, search his bedroom. Oh, well, I don't want to. No, you'll find him dead if you don't and he's taken to hard drugs. So do that. Start the dialogue. Call somebody who can help them, and move forward with that. Everybody can recover. Don't let anybody tell you different, guys. You can recover for all that stuff. You can reprogram, remap, recircuit brains and behavior to go with it. So your kids, if you don't do it now, they're going to start hanging with the bad crowd. 9 out of 10 times they end up on, selling drugs and stuff because it's easy money. You've got to start talking to them now. If it's a wife we're talking about and the husband doesn't want help, then you eventually have to kick him out. You have to leave. But mostly women stay in relationships way too long than they should. We stay in jobs way too long because it becomes that comfort zone. So there was a girl that got snatched off the streets in Manchester back in 68, 69. Schoolgirl, 16 years old. And there was a huge manhunt. Oh, it was in the papers and everything. After about 4 or 5 weeks, they couldn't find her. So she was presumed dead. 9 months later, there was this police car following another car down a country road, and he had a broken back light. So he pulled him over and he said, "Hey, is this your car? Let's just check in the trunk," like they do. Found a stolen screwdriver. So now they're allowed to go back to the house and see what else he's got. And sure enough, lawnmowers, freaking drills, all stolen. But when they're there, they see this box in the corner, 4 foot high by about 12 foot wide. And they said, "We know you got more stolen stuff in there." And they opened it, and there was the girl that went missing 9 months ago. She was bruised, she was battered, but she was alive. He used to take her out every day, abuse her, bath, dinner, restroom, back in the box. For 9 freaking months he did that. So when the policewoman stepped over, she took this girl's hand and she helped her step out this box. She took a police coat off her and she wrapped it around her. What's the first thing the kid did? He's got back in the box. That's what we do in life. Get back into that comfort zone, that regular thing. You have to break the fucking box, man. To smithereens, and start again and move out and be bold and be brave and be outspoken if need be, if that's your deal, But we got to start watching. Everybody knows somebody who has a substance abuse or alcohol problem. Everybody does. I've not met one person that hasn't. From a lady in Starbucks to the boardroom. Oh yeah, my brother, my sister, everybody knows somebody. So why wouldn't it be your kid? So you've got to nurture, you've got to understand what they're going through, and redirect them away. And it's not as hard as you think. When it becomes hard is when you leave them to their own devices. So if I've got a kid coming home, spending 6 or 7 hours on gaming upstairs because the parents are too lazy to do anything with him, I'll show you a future addict for a start. But secondly, it's going to mess his social skills up as it goes out to the world. And we're seeing more and more of that today. It's like we don't communicate anymore. We don't validate each other in person. I had one kid. I'm like, "How many friends you got?" 5,000. I said, 5,000? Yeah, 5,000 on Facebook.
Crazy.
I said, "Dude, you plugged into the fucking wall." His mind was blown. He's like, they're not friends. You don't know who's talking to. You don't know. But that's the society we have now, So dialogue.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Robb Kelly, thank you so much for driving today, but really it was your wife that drove us. But you're driving the way back, and I'm looking forward to coming out and seeing you soon. We'll get that in the books. I'll talk to your assistant about that. And it was an amazing conversation. You have an incredible story. I can't wait to put this out on my platform, and definitely stay in touch. And I wish you the best.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.